program 其实给我最大的支持是让我有了全球化的思维啊。那么这个实际上我觉得也是一个让我们特别激动和欣慰的啊，因为这些女性她们不光是在这个过程当中能够认识到自身的力量，因为我们这个 program 这个2000多人的这个中国的女性企业家，我们是每年现在都会组织2到3次的一个就是学员的一个 gathering。那每次都有很多的学员来参加，我觉得这个除了我们安排的活动以外，他们自己会给自己安排很多活动啊，自己就刚才回到高霞刚才讲到的 networking 啊，那么他们是自发的组织了很多的 networking， 然后呢彼此之间互相来支持啊，那么包括他们的业务上啊，包括他们的销售上，包括的人员推荐上，那么这个 sisterhood 我觉得这个 power 是特别特别的大，是远远超过了我们当年设计这个项目的想象。我觉得这个其实是特别的有意义，而且呢，从我们现在这些学员们来看，那么他们自己对所有新的东西都是保持这种 hungry 的状态。那么我觉得其实这个讲大家讲 being hungry, being greedy 那实际上一个企业家其实是要有这样的一个 hungry, greedy 的心态的才能够把自己的事业能够更往前推进所以我们也是在这样的一个 program 里边，我觉得特别有意义的是大家找到了同行者。这个同行者不光是在这个学习的时候是同学，而是在你的事业发展当中，那么成为你的伙伴，那么在精神上支持你，那么在经济上支援你我觉得这个是特别了不起的事情。
Finding the right kind of companionship that you need. 那我想请一会儿 Professor 高霞回应一下这部分，但是 before that, let's look at let's talk to Nadia first. Maybe you can share some of the cases in Switzerland. Are there any such inspiring stories for women? Thanks.
Yeah, I'm happy to share with you some examples of successful Swiss startups that have been founded or co-founded by women. One of the most famous ones is called AVA, AVA, and it's a startup that produces a fertility tracker for women and specializes in general on technology related to reproductive health. It has won many awards, for example, the Swiss MedTech Award in 2018. And it has received so far $42.6 million of funding, and has already internationalized. Is present in San Francisco, Zurich, and also Hong Kong. Another startup I would like to mention is much younger. It's an ETH spin-off by 2 women. It's called Salea. They produce cell scaffolds from different materials that mimic the natural environment of cells. And this scaffold can be used, for example, in the food industry, in the future, for example, to produce lab-grown meat, so to have more sustainable food. And it's a current spin-off, and they have won the Venture Kick Award this year. Another startup I would like to mention is less in the tech science innovation, but in the finance innovation. It's called LX. They provide educational resources for women. Their goal is that women in general get more knowledgeable about finances and also investment. And they offer courses, but I also do some finance products together with some banks. And they have tried a new way of funding. It's called the crowd investing. So instead of raising money through VCs, they opened the platform. It's a bit similar to crowdfunding, but the difference is that the small investors or single people, they buy parts of your company and they will also get regained. So they basically have now, I think, around 3,000 people who own the company, and they have raised 1.43 million Swiss francs, which is actually a European record for this investment method, which they are also talking about if this could be an option to also smaller the gender gap. Yeah.
Thanks. I have a quick follow-up question. There is a observation by some people saying that for female-led enterprises, they often, because all of these examples that you just shared are either responding to women's needs or having a much bigger social impact, for example, through crowdfunding and through a mutual support system. So there's an observation like for women business leaders and startups, they tend to take into account the social impact more and also long-lasting impact for the society and for people. Or male funded ventures often is more profit driven. Do you agree with that kind of observation? Is that the case in Switzerland?
Yes, I do agree with that, and it's also based on a study from Swiss University of Applied Sciences. They did a study on women in innovation in Switzerland, and they found exactly this, that women tend more to focus on growth, but also factors as sustainability or societal impact. And of course, there are also startups from men that focus on that, but you see a big tendency. And this is also a reason why we have like 35% of companies founded by women, but only 4% of venture capital invested in these companies, because a lot of funding instruments don't have impact or societal impact, environmental impact as criteria. Of course, it's also a topic that is coming more and more, but there's a big funding gap in that area.
Thank you for echoing that. I think not only for economic growth, but the world is a better place if we have more female entrepreneurs. I'd like to move on to Professor Gao Xia. Madam Zuo Linghui mentioned the 10,000 Women program, where essentially provide mini MBA program for females. From a female scientist perspective, do you think these are much needed training for women, not only building their business skills, and very importantly, they're shaping a community where they can help each other?
Yes, I believe these are very important programs, because this is still, like, entrepreneurship is still very male dominated area. So for the women to appear and be successful there, we need to learn to speak men language. Until there will be enough women in such position that the culture of communication will also, change, and then there will be more space for more women to join. But we have to start somewhere, and I believe that such programs are really great initiative to train women, but also to let them to meet other women, to meet their possible mentors, but also sponsors, because we should not overestimate the role of the sponsorship. And I think this is more how the relationship between men exists, that there is sponsor and sponsee, that the success of the sponsee is also success of the sponsor. I think for women it's more like, because of this noble reason to go into entrepreneurship and so on, women quite often will look for mentors, but will not will not have sponsors. So I believe that such program can also actually connect women to possible sponsors, both female and male. So yes, great initiative. And I would like to maybe talk more to you about this later on. Maybe I will also learn something from it.
Thank you. Now I go to Xiaoxiang. Xiaoxiang, we haven't forgotten you. Let's talk about IP. From WIPO perspective, do you think IP plays an important role for women? We know, like, for women and men scientists, patent is their lifeline, right? Do you find any unique challenges often facing women when it comes to IP protection?
谢谢。这个其实在产权组织2019年6月完成的一份报告里面呢，其实就有过分析，就是成为成功的女性发明人和创新者的关键影响因素和障碍。这个呢，当时的结论是说，包括 STEM 学位中代表性的不足，缺乏强大的专业社交网络，缺乏获得资金的机会，以及 对知识产权注册的重要性缺乏了解等等。在这之后，2023年呢发表的一份研究，其实是分析了从1999年到2020年期间女性参与国际专利申请的情况。发现女性仅仅参与了23%的申请，占所列发明人总数的13%。所以为了协助和支持女性增强对于知识产权的认识、了解和体验呢，产权组织是推进了一系列的举措吧。例如在培训和教育的方面，我们是有 WIPO 学院，这个是我们的教育培训和技能建设的机构。那 WIPO 学院一直以来呢，也是致力于帮助开展知识产权人员能力建设。在女性学员的方面呢，它的各项计划也确保了这个学员的性别平等。从2018年以来，跟男性学员相比，女性学员的总体比例是在52%。包括今年的世界知识产权日，也就是4月26日，主题是女性和知识产权加速创新创造。这期间呢，WIPO 学院向所有的专业领域的女性申请者提供了一部分的奖学金名额，供他们参加高级远程的这种学习课程，增强世界各地的女性发明家、创造者，包括企业家、知识产权专业人员，利用知识产权制度保护他们的工作，然后并且为他们的工作增值的能力。我们还同时提供，就是为不同的女性群体提供指导。2019年的时候，我们开始举办了产权组织土著人民和当地社区女企业家的知识产权培训、指导和牵线搭桥计划。这个旨在通过加强土著和当地社区女企业家战略性的有效利用知识产权工具，支持他们创业活动的能力。鼓励与这个传统知识和传统文化表现形式相关的女性创业、创新和创造。此外，我们还有产权组织女性发明人知识产权指导计划，就是 WIPO IP Mentorship Program for Women Inventors。这个项目的目标之一呢，就是提供接触导师的途径。每个试点国家都确定了可以支持本国女性发明人的这种潜在导师。此外，这个项目还实施了一项对试点国家发明人有利的国际指导试点计划，通过直接向知识产权专家导师咨询，帮助来自不同国家的女性发明人更好地了解不同的知识产权管理战略，如何能够增强他们的能力，将自己的发明推向市场。这样通过利用知识产权，女性就可以保护自己的发明创造和权益，然后获得应有的收益。这是我这部分的分享，谢谢。
谢谢，也非常高兴 WIPO 在这方面做了很多工作啊，就是因为知识产权对于女性和男性科学家都非常重要，学会怎么样去保护自己的专利和知识产权，这个对于每一位走向科创之路的女性来说也是非常重要的，也可以关注 WIPO 在这方面的一些培训和刚才小香提到的一些项目。下面我想聊一下就是关于女性的，因为我们刚才聊了很多外在的因素，我想呢先收回一点，回到一些内在的因素，聊聊对风险的态度。因为科创这件事情，如果没有风险是肯定不可能做的嘛。然后我最近这2天也在看 Elon Musk 那个最新的传记，也是这 one of the best sellers these days， 大家都在看。就是它里面有一个非常重要，就是说 Elon 他对于风险的认识和理解，哪怕就是不是 gender 的区别了，是他跟全人类的区别都不一样，他是一个 extreme risk taker。那我很好奇，就是在科创领域，就是有一种 stereotype 就觉得女性更 risk averse。They tend to be risk averse and tend to choose stability over adventure for themselves and for their families, especially for their families， 因为他们更多的是一个 family 的 provider， 他需要考虑的东西比较多，特别是作为孩子、作为妻子，就是需要考虑这个风险的问题。那这个问题是不是真实存在的？我想先请索总跟我们聊聊，你怎么看？作为一个 female business leader， 你有没有在一生中在 career 当中冒过很大的风险？然后你怎么看待这个问题？
我觉得这是一个，我特别同意刚才杨博士讲的啊，我觉得其实，在这里边是一个取舍问题啊，在这方面上，那么女性呢，其实在这个能力本身来讲，男女可能没有那么绝对的差别，特别我们说在智力上，啊，但是呢，在整个的这个社会当中呢，因为女性承担的角色更多元。那么导致女性在最后的这个最关键往上走的这个阶段里边，她压力非常的大。所以呢，这个我们看到很多人，包括我自己是在证券公司在投行，那么也面临着我们的这个 senior 的 banker female banker 到最后呢就坚持不下去啊，因为可能会为家庭要做出一些让步啊，在这里边。那么我觉得其实从这个我们的女性企业家这方面上来讲，这一点也是很突出的啊，在这里边。那么本身呢，这是我觉得可能是世界性的这样的一个问题啊。那么所以大家每次在谈的时候都在谈 work and life balance， 其实没有的，这个 balance 没有绝对的啊，只有你到最后的选择和你在整个的安排上，你能做出你觉得最好的一个安排，和你觉得你自己要取得的目标，是不是你这一辈子最心心念念不忍放弃的东西啊？我觉得这份热爱本身其实可能是促成女性企业家到最后能坚持下去的很重要的原因。
讲得非常好，谢谢。I'd like to go to Professor Gao Xia to share. Do you think you're a risk averse person? How do you perceive adventures and risk taking?
So, I'm in China. Yes. So changing from Europe to China, where there is such big cultural difference, I arrived without knowing how science works here, and had to actually start from zero. So in this respect, yes, I'm not risk adverse. I will jump into the opportunity. However, like over the years, I don't know, maybe I become more cautious that and that's why the startup hasn't happened yet, because I'm calculating and trying to find the right people, and I think I'm not yet ready to make it happen. So I think probably, like also for men, like when we are younger, probably we are more eager to take a risk. However, when we are more established, then we have probably more to risk. So then risking is try to be avoided. And we can look at this from devotional point of view. So, in prehistory, women were usually the ones staying with the kids, taking care of the fire. So they were in the cave, and men were the one hunting. And even if one man died, the entire species will survive, if they brought the food. But if one woman would die, then that means less children. So I would say there is probably some environmental aspect of the fact that women may be less adverse, probably when entering certain age.
Right, very well said. And I think there might be also a perception issue, because a lot of women does not want to be seen as a loser or like a failure, because if, for example, if they become an entrepreneur and they didn't succeed, they tend to beat themselves up more than men, because like sometimes men fail many times, but they still march on. But for women, like we're the kind of species who sometimes very harsh on ourselves. Do you agree with that?
Yes. We had discussion, like actually I had discussion with many women about this issue, and this comes from the, I would say, more social point of view, that men are less judged for their mistakes than women. So at some point, probably women will just try to avoid the mistakes to not be judged, because they will be judged more harshly, actually. So men are believed to, okay, they always are like this, they want to take the risk, they want to fail, this is fine. But women are raised to be more cautious and to be small princesses. So, to be more organized, perfect, making everything always properly. So I think here we need to start talking about this and be aware that there is such pressure from the society, because if we know about this, we can then raise our daughters differently. We can say, okay, you can go and get dirty in the mud. go and kick the ball. So challenge girls earlier on, because, and also give good example. At the age of 6, the perception of the child is already about the social norms is already fixed. So after this age, once like the child will see, okay, this is how the mother is in the society, or how the woman is in society. This is how the man, how the father is in society. So I think we have to really start at the early age, and start with us, start with our families, with our friends, our colleagues, this in some years, then there will be more women who will be more like risk-taking, because they won't have so much pressure from the society. Thank you.
我可以，好的，好的，杨博士要回应一下这个问题。
对，其实我有一些不同的看法。然后我觉得就是put gender aside， 我其实觉得在西方社会和中国社会对于 risk 和 failure 的 tolerance 都很不一样。然后在美国的话，我觉得更people care about mission and vision， 所以才有一些伟大的看起来 make something impossible possible 的公司出身。在中国的话，就更这种 conservative， 我觉得this difference is actually probably more than difference between gender。然后另外一点的话 I actually agree， 就是妇女更容易自责。然后但是我其实觉得也是一个 strength， 就是就我自己的经历吧，其实我自己从小咱们学孔孟之道，孟子说这个行所不达，反求诸己。就一个事情如果我没有做成功的话，我会先朝自己身上找问题。其实我小时候只是记着这句话，但是我其实回过头来看这几年的成长，也是因为有很多失败，别人给了我很多反馈质疑。然后比如说我们去融资，我会 keep 一个 list， 然后我见了谁以什么理由拒绝了我们，我把它写下来。然后过一段时间，我觉得这问题解决了，我会去再找到这个投资人，我说你上次跟我说了这个，我觉得你说的非常有道理，你看我们已经达到这个 milestone， 你要不要再看一看？然后有的时候就很尴尬了，别人找个理由搪塞你，你还那么认真的回去。但有时候的话也是get good response。所以我是觉得虽然这种self criticism 是女性的一个特点，它在某些情况下会成为我们的弱点，但我们也可以把它变成我们的一个优点。这些失败或者是质疑的话，就是也可以成为我们成长的一个动力，或者是别人的视角总是跟我们不一样，那你反一个视角，借别人的视角想一想的话，其实可以得到更多元、更快速的一个成长。
说的真好。我想听 Madia 讲讲，就是what do you agree with Dr. Yang just shared? Is that a culture difference? Do you think self-bashing is more like in the Asian society where women tend to be criticizing themselves more, or do you think that's more universal?
Well, I'm not a sociologist, so it's a bit hard to answer. I agree totally that what the speakers before me said, that social norms are very important and cultural differences. I don't know about Western versus Eastern, but in my perception, cultural norms are also very important. I mean, I can only speak for Switzerland, for example. We are not very well known for risk-taking. So there's a lot of fear of failure, but in general, not only for women, but yeah, in general, I would agree. But I would just like to add another point to this discussion, that despite that social norms are very present, I would like to emphasize that we all should not forget that we should fix the system and not fix the women inside it. And sometimes I guess it's not only about being risk averse, but just not having the time and the money. So if in a family, like in Switzerland, a lot of childcare and care work still falls upon the woman, and the man also has the same children, but we see him as more risk-taking, but it's maybe because somebody's stabilizing the care work. So I feel like sometimes it's just very pragmatic. The time and the money is missing, and then you maybe don't think about, am I confident enough to found a company, because you just don't have time to do it. Just in addition to what was mentioned before.
Right, that's a very good point. In addition to that, not equally, disproportionately sharing responsibility for childbearing is also a very key factor for women when it comes to making decisions. I also recently came across a very interesting research called All the Single Ladies, conducted by two Swedish scholars. It has a striking finding that for women who were recently promoted to a CEO position, they actually suffered twice higher probability to get a divorce within 3 years than men. And on the other hand, men tend to benefit much more from pursuing a higher position. 似乎是说还有一个就是 Oscar curse， 就是好像那个有一个特别奇怪的现象，就是得了那个奥斯卡奖的女演员，就是很快就好几个人就很快就离婚了，或者先生就是出轨了。可是得奥斯卡的男演员的婚姻可能就更，当然maybe that's not a very academic research， 但 anyways 这个也是一个 perception 吧，就是我们既然讲到 work-life balance， 那我们就好好去看一下这个问题。那我还是回到这边。从索总开始，就是您觉得这个 work-life balance 是不是这个 single most biggest challenge for women to pursue a higher position？
其实我觉得就是回到刚才咱们说的，其实有很多 common 的东西，不管男性和女性都会面临的work and life balance。我在 Goldman 的话呢，其实也是一个 common topic， 也是一个 hot topic。那么通常不光是问女性，也问男性，因为我们这边的我们这个男的 banker 也是出差特别多，基本上不能够跟家里人在一起。但后来我们在这个问到我们更高层的时候，那么发现他们其实每一年都一定会有固定的时间是雷打不动的，一定会和家人在一起可能会参加孩子的一些特殊的活动在这里边。所以其实我觉得 work and life balance 这一点上来讲是一个重要的问题，但是不是绝对的，而且它也不决定我们未来我们事业到底能够做成到什么样子。我觉得那在这个过程当中，我其实反倒觉得挺重要的是作为无论是女性企业家还是男性企业家，可能自己的 vision 非常的重要尤其是我们看到在这样一个变革的时代里边，那么你会看到什么是未来的成长的赛道，然后在这个赛道里你怎么样成为那个最棒的，打造一个最棒的赛车，然后你是那最牛的赛车手其实这个是一个从企业家的角度上来看，我觉得这是男性和女性共同面临的问题，这是第一位的在这里边你要看清楚道，我们讲这个是吧，讲道讲事是吧，然后呢最后才讲的术那其实我觉得可能family 这个所谓的这个 work and life balance 这个问题的话，它更多的是个术的问题所以呢从这样的一个层级上来看，我觉得其实术的问题就永远有 solution 去解决在这方面上那我觉得可能也是我们在工作当中碰到非常多成功的女性企业家在中国包括很多上市公司里边的这些 founder那么我们跟他们的接触当中，我们觉得其实特别有意义的是，我们觉得他在初创，然后到上市，然后在上市多年，其实他在成长，然后你就看到他的变化，而这种变化，我觉得是作为我们女性成长当中最可以值得分享的经验。
谢谢，讲得非常好。其实从联合国来讲，我们有一个术的 technical 的intervention 我觉得还挺重要的，就是这个男女在高管的这个比例问题，就是我们现在已经做到 UNDP 全球的country heads 就是 senior leadership 50% women， 就是这个是一个硬性的指标，所以反而在 UN 就是如果你是一个男性white male are in a way disadvantaged，因为我们的 policy 就是要鼓励更多的女性，特别是来自发展中国家的女性能够登上联合国的舞台，能够发挥更大的作用。当然，就有很多不同的 policy， 我们一会儿可以大家分享。那每个国家的做法也不要，包括就是 paternity leave，for example，it's a very good issue。that as we talk about it， 那下一个请杨博士也聊聊你怎么看 work-life balance？ 你的这个 personal life 还好吗？就是这个是一个 technical 问题，可以调整吗？
对，这个我希望你刚才的那个 survey 不是一个 curse， 然后就是我觉得有一句老话吧，就是 it take a village to raise a kid， 然后我觉得开公司也是一个家庭，也是一个 teamwork。所以我觉得最重要的是选好你的队友，然后就是你的伴侣，就是我是觉得 I'm very lucky to have a partner， 然后我们两个share mutual respect, admiration 和 understanding， 这个是相互的，其实没有人会为谁牺牲一辈子，然后当然还是会有冲突的时候，但是我是觉得，首先，成为一个成功的女性企业家或者科学家，这个成就其实一方面是你跟你团队一起合作，大家就是互相信任、互相支持，也互相理解；一方面的话是你背后的 family， 他要理解你、支持你、信任你，然后有时候的话是双方都要做出一些 compromise， 才能 sustainable。
是的，说的非常好，就是 find the right partner。今天上午的嘉宾其实也聊到这一点，就是在女性，特别是事业女性的人生的这个道路当中，有一个支持她的partner 非常非常的重要那我们请 Madia。
Yeah, thank you for this question. I haven't heard about the story before, but I think it's a very good example to show that gender equality actually benefits everybody. So no matter which gender you are, because I have the impression that the CEO positions or the work model of them have been developed in a time where there were only men that had a housewife at home who did everything else. So if you want to have more family time or a more, it doesn't matter what, or a different hobby, I think if work gets more family friendly in general, it benefits not only women, but everybody. But it's a big issue. It's a systemic problem. So it's hard to tackle from an individual perspective. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it is indeed a systemic problem, and it takes all of us to help look at it. Professor Gao Xia.
So in this aspect, I would like to add something. So now in China, there is free child policy. So women can have up to 3 children. And then assumption of the employer is that woman will be the one responsible for these children. So this, makes it more difficult for women to actually be developed into more senior role, because there is no, quite often employers will think it's not worth to invest in women. So actually partnership, so we find the men who actually will split responsibilities for the children, for the house, for all the other house related or family related obligations, half, or even, will take the role of staying home dad. This is something that actually women need. And adding to this will actually allows this work-life balance, because if there is not enough support at home, we cannot talk about the work-life balance, outside the work. And I think for this, special policies are needed. In European countries, there is paternity leave. So for example, my sister, so both she and her husband, they work, they have now child. And basically he's staying at home for half a year and she's staying, of course, not at the same time, but first she stay half a year at home and later on he. So I think this is something that maybe policymakers can consider here in China, to make possible also for men to take paternity leave, because this will kind of equalize their opportunities to spend time with child, but this will also take this pressure for women. So then they will have like more support at home and they can actually achieve this work-life balance.
是的，very much so。其实在这方面，欧洲很多国家都会做得更好，就是在这个孩子的这 paternity leave 的这个政策上，以及就是分担这个家务和孩子的成长。因为一会儿的这个 panel 之后，我们还有跟冰岛大使Ambassador Ibsen 的一个对话 ，He for She， 他也会讲一些冰岛的这个案例。其实很多欧洲国家在这方面是有很多很好的这个 practice。我们可以借鉴的。那我们再回到小香这边，就是刚才我们讲了 partnership， 我觉得也不一定说一定是家庭方面的，在这个知识产权保护方面，其实也需要很重要的就是partnership 获得更多的这个支持。看你想讲哪个方面吧，就是 work life 的这个方面也可以，或者你从这个IP 的角度也可以跟大家分享一下你的观点。
我觉得可能我还是在IP 的这个方面，然后来跟大家做一些简单的介绍吧。就是在这种合作方面呢，其实我们产权组织也还是有一些这个项目的，然后也都是致力于帮助女性科学家，然后促进女性科学家从产业的跟产业界的合作的。比如说我们是会每年定期都会举办一些女性主题的圆桌会议，然后协助女性的科学家还有企业家拓展人脉资源，加强交流和合作。像每年的这个妇女节前后吧，我们 WIPO 中国办事处就会举行这种知识产权赋能女性的。今年的这个圆桌会议呢，我们邀请了来自政府、学界，然后协会，包括商界和媒体的30多位代表，然后参加共同交流。就当前女性在创新创造领域的困境与成就，以及产权组织如何更好的以知识产权赋能女性发展等议题进行了交流。这些呢，其实觉得都是能够促进女性这个科学家和企业家，然后进行交流和创作的一些方面。然后期待未来也能有更多的优秀的女性代表参与到我们产权组织的项目和活动中来。谢谢。
好的，谢谢小香。我们时间有限啊，最后一轮问题就是讲到未来，what can be done？ what's the next step？ 我请每一个嘉宾再分享一下你认为就是我们探讨了所有的问题和背后的 root cause， 那就是在推动更多的女性在科创的路上走向成功。我们看到更多的优秀的女科学家，更多优秀的创业者，那我们能做什么？你对未来有什么样的一些愿望和建议？那首先还是有请索总。
我想从2个方面上吧，一个是从企业家、科学家自身因为我觉得我们尤其是在 biotech 这方面上，我们看到很多的科学家现在创业那我觉得其实某种意义上来讲，我觉得有一句话讲师如燃灯者，我觉得这些我们的企业家和我们的科学家其实就是大师他们其实已经超出一般意义上的老师。我觉得他能够活得就像自身带光一样的，是个发光体。不光他自己这个闪闪发光，而且呢，他也照亮了他身边的人带动了他自己的员工那么也把这个贡献给社会我觉得这个是特别了不起的那么这是我觉得从我们企业家的角度上。那么从我们就是和在企业家周围的人的角度上，我觉得我们是要支持他们那么在这个过程当中，我觉得特别有意义的就是我们现在所做的这份工作是资本市场的工作。那么实际上来讲，怎么样引导着从这个天使资本到 venture capital 一直到 PE， 那么到最后的 IPO那么以至于上市后的这个再融资收购兼并，我觉得这些都应该是资本市场应该给我们企业发展提供的一个最好的这样的一个道场我觉得在这方面上来讲，我觉得应该全社会应该是支持我们的企业家，因为他们的冒风险的精神，其实才给我们社会带来了和经济带来了活力。
好，谢谢。做一个发光体，支持那些愿意去为了事业去冒险的人。 那请杨博士。
对，就是我其实最大的愿望吧，是说我看到在这个时代有更多的女性科学家和创业家，我是谨慎乐观。有一天的话，是我们真正可以做出对社会有益的成果转化和创新项目。这样的话，这个社会对我们这群人的包容、认知和认可就会多起来。也会给 new generation to come 一个 role model。然后我看在座也有很多年轻的小朋友，然后如果就是真的有一些鼓励和建议的话，我是觉得 just be yourself, be confident。就是虽然年纪、性别或者经历，你会发现自己跟别人不一样，但这只是不一样。You have something to offer。然后 just be yourself and be comfortable with rejection， 然后慢慢成长起来。我觉得时间会给我们一个有力的答复。
Thank you. 3 points from my side. So first of all, as mentioned by Ms. Swo at the beginning, it's about economical impact. So we cannot really afford to neglect 50% of the brain power available, especially not at the time of talent scarcity and big challenges. Second of all, there is this phrase, you can't be what you can't see. So we should really promote examples of female scientists and entrepreneurs that already exist. There are a lot, they're just less well known as well. So we should put them in the media, in fairs, in brochures, websites, talk about them in school. And third of all, it's important to build allies so that we, as you mentioned before also about sponsorship, so mentors and allies. So maybe we can also collaborate in events like this, also collaborate with more traditional innovation events to really make bridges with the existing innovation world that is still, where there is still a big gender gap.
Right, very well said. Professor Gao Xia.
Yes, I agree with what all the previous speakers said. I cannot emphasize enough the role of networking. So getting together with, like connecting with both women and men, working together, discussing opportunities and propose opportunities, because it's not only that I will gain opportunity from the network, but I as the woman will also create opportunities for the other women. And so this is what we female scientists, female entrepreneurs can do. But institutions also have a lot to do. So to create the culture that is friendly for women, and this will involve training from the early stages, that women can have equal chances to be trained similarly to men, that basically that they can grow into leadership position and that they can also develop entrepreneur skills. Last but not least, the governments should implement women-friendly policies. And I think in Denmark, there is quota for a percentage of women in the CEO position, they want to reach to 40%. And this actually increase the representation of the women in the high-level positions. So, for example, if we make let's say maybe not yet the law, but if we make announcement of the law that by 2030, we want to have certain % of women in the leadership position in high-tech companies, then all these companies have still enough time to train women that they already have in their companies, basically to grow into this role. So I think, but this has to be at the level of the policy. And I believe that this can happen if we will be advocating for this. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Last but not least, 请小香再讲一下你最后的补充，对于未来我们还可以做什么？听得到吗？
好，我的网络好像不是特别的好，能听到吗？您好，
我们可以听到你说话。
喂， 好的。
Yes.
以我的资历来讲的话，可能来提建议还是有一些冒昧。一定要说的话，可能希望未来能有更多的女性科学家和企业家可以被看到吧。无论是通过可能获得一些国际奖项，比如说去申请我们 WIPO 的女性发明家奖、WIPO 的全球奖，这些都欢迎女性朋友来申请。另外呢，或者是通过一些这种宣传和报道的媒体项目，我觉得都可以为更多的女性，然后包括现在的女童树立榜样，鼓励她们在未来更多的参与到科创领域中来。谢谢。
谢谢。所以我们有be yourself, be confident, find your allies, connecting men and women working together to achieve the same goal, put the right policy in place and build the healthy ecosystem, and very importantly to have more women to be seen on a bigger stage in the spotlight and being recognized. 所以那最后就是我们希望每一个人都可以做一个发光体，给这个世界带来光。谢谢，今天非常感谢各位fellow panelists 跟我们的非常精彩的探讨和分享，我们也非常的有收获。那也希望你们更多的去支持女性科创的工作，未来我们还有机会交流。非常感谢大家。
谢谢我们的主持人，同时也感谢我们今天参加下午第一个 panel 的各位嘉宾。谢谢。哎呀，我怎么感觉到这么如沐春风呢？哈，我觉得如果这个女性坐在一起进行一个讨论会，好像每一秒都让人觉得很陶醉啊。也许我有自己的这个偏见了啊。Maybe I have bias, but I think I enjoy every moment of it. 刚才大家说的很好，有几件事情跟各位分享。这个是道术啊，刚才我们听到索女士提到的这一点，同时呢，我也听到很多的嘉宾在谈到 I also hear connect, grow, shine, and empower these actions, and not only in words, but also doing all of them at the same time. 所以我觉得这个可能是今天非常大的一个收获啊。在各位呢还在整理舞台的过程当中，我也向大家介绍一下，我们每一个的讨论会后面啊都会有一个焦点的这样一个聚焦，大家一起来共同关注一个相关的话题。那接下来呢，我可以用这个台子了哈，谢谢。现在让我们进入呢。接下来这一个分享的环节，一起来聆听英国创新署对女性创新项目的经验分享。英国创新署致力于推动商业创新中的平等、多元化和包容性。英国创新署平等、多元化和包容性的项目经理 Rachel O'Brien 博士将为我们介绍在支持女性科技创新方面的见解和做法。O'Brien 博士呢，负责英国创新署的多个项目，支持来自于不同领域和背景的创新者，促进商业创新中的平等、多元化和包容性。所有这些介绍词呢，都是非常抽象的啊。那么接下来我们就通过这一段演讲来真正了解一下所有这些词语是如何在行动上发光的。好，我们有请，是线上。
Fellow speakers, UN dignitaries, research and innovation organizations, businesses, universities, and audience joining us from around the world. My name is Rachel O'Brien. I am the Program Manager, Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion at Innovate UK. It gives me great pleasure to join the event today. Many thanks to the organizers and UKRI China for giving me the opportunity to speak to you about the support that Innovate UK has provided to women innovators. Innovate UK is the UK's national innovation agency and is part of UK research and innovation. We support business-led innovation in all sectors, technologies, and UK regions. We help businesses to grow through the development and commercialization of new products, processes, and services, supported by an outstanding innovation ecosystem that is agile, inclusive, and easy to navigate. In this video, I'd like to answer 3 main questions. The first question: what are the main reasons behind the underrepresentation of women in innovation and key challenges that hinder women's progress in innovation and in the UK? In 2016, Innovate UK commissioned a research among female innovators to understand the barriers to innovation and how Innovate UK could better support women in innovation. From that research, we had interesting outcomes. And this included being a woman has negatively impacted the careers of 1/3 of the women that were interviewed. Securing funding is by far the single biggest challenge for women innovators, especially those that have small businesses and startups. Innovation funding organizations play a crucial role. Positive discrimination is controversial to encourage and support more women innovators. There is demand for more substantial, focused support services among female innovators. Those were some of the outcomes that we had from that research in 2016. And more recently this year, from the Rose Review Progress Report, it showed that funding opportunities, access to expertise, mentoring, resources, and networks, not enough women being celebrated and recognized, were some of the main barriers for women in innovation and entrepreneurship that hinder their progress in the UK. I'd now like to take the second question. What is the Innovate UK Women in Innovation program? Innovate UK's Women in Innovation program was launched in 2016 to address underrepresentation of women in business innovation and to encourage more of them to apply to Innovate UK's funding opportunities. Since its inception, the program has enabled brilliant women across the UK to fully achieve their vision for their businesses and change the world while championing and celebrating gender diversity throughout UK innovation. The program has continued to grow from strength to strength year by year, with even greater number of women innovating in business. And so in the last 6 years, we have had the honor to nurture over 160 pioneering women from all UK regions and nations to embrace innovation, to grow their businesses and navigate the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And these women's businesses have answered societal, economic, environmental, and health challenges, which is fantastic. And so this brings me on to the third question. What are the notable achievements or impacts that have resulted from the Innovate UK's Women in Innovation program? There are many, but for the purpose of this video, I just like to share a couple. The Innovate UK's Women Innovation program has awarded a total of over 7.6 million to over 150 remarkable women, which enable them to develop and grow their businesses while elevating them as relatable role models to inspire the next generation of women innovators. The Women Innovation Program has created a vibrant community of nearly 10,000 women business leaders, ambassadors, and allies, which is fantastic. The Women Innovation Program has provided opportunities for women innovators to work in partnership with many brilliant organizations here in the UK and networks and learn from each other and share knowledge. And finally, the Women Innovation Program has amplified our reach and our impact in our mission to foster a more gender diverse business innovation ecosystem in the UK. And so for many of our winners, the award has proved to be transformational for themselves as leaders in innovation and their businesses, leading to more opportunities. They have secured private investment and additional government funding. They've also collaborated with influential organizations and individuals, access to new markets. They've grown their team, they've grown their profit while making positive societal change. This is really fantastic. And finally, I just like to say that we all need to do more in raising the profile of women, in celebrating women who are innovating in business and creating the space for them to share challenges and needs. The Innovate UK's Women Innovation Program has been doing this since 2016. So we've created case studies and booklets profiling our award holders. We have continued to run a strategic social media campaign, and we have had dedicated events. We have installed the purple plaques in schools, thereby building role models and showing shiny examples to the next generation. We have run dedicated webinars such as the Let's Talk About series, and we have continued to collaborate and celebrate women that are innovating. And we have continued to support individuals on similar mission. And the list goes on and on and on. And I just like to stop and wish everyone that has attended today's event every success. And thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to share about the Innovate UK's Women in Innovation program. Thank you very much.